Hey guys, I'm just getting set up here. Just give me about 2 more minutes and we'll get going. Sorry for the delay. I'm not going to be very long tonight. I'm just going to talk about a couple of setups that I'm looking at, and then I'll let you go here. So just, sorry, like I said, just give me like 2 more minutes here. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Let's get fired away. So, not sure if you caught my recorded session or not on Sunday. I apologize. It was a little rough. Took me a little while to get into it there, and I was kind of stumbling over some facts and some details there for a bit. Apologize for that. A little bit rusty. Don't know why. But needless to say, the analysis was fairly spot on so far. Looking for a pullback in the U.S. dollar, looking for a run higher on euro and the pound dollar, and so far, up until a certain level and a retracement. So far that's what we're seeing. So I'll go through that here in a minute, but I just wanted to run through the news here quickly so we all know what's on par for this evening. Big one here at Draghi speaking at 4 o'clock a.m. New York time, so in about a little under 3 hours from now. He's going to get on there and start talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Yesterday he spoke as well too, and a whole lot of nothing happened basically. So we'll see and watch this one here and see what transpires for his speech. And then you can see again he's talking Wednesday, a little bit later in the day. So we could see an extended session on Wednesday. I don't know how much movement we're going to see today, to be honest with you, but there's not a ton of news happening. Some building permits coming in at 8:30 a.m. New York time. So if the market does want to reverse and continue in the direction that it's going, and then it may want to reverse potentially around that 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. New York time, start hitting the outermost points of some of the price levels and then starting to reverse. So we'll watch for that. Or Wednesday could even come in. There's not a ton of news though for New York, and during London Open, totally void of news. I'll change my filters actually. I'll just put maybe some of this low impact news item on here and see. Yeah, there's some very, very light news events in here on the euro and the pound and sterling. Not seeing anything too crazy, so we may see a little bit of action. London Open on Wednesday, but I think the majority of the activity is going to happen kind of right around here. Not to mention Fed Powell speaking, everything like that. So I would imagine they'll probably just sort of hold off until all of these guys come in and speak. There's going to be some fairly major movement, I would imagine, on Wednesday, later in New York. And Dave will be on with you guys when that starts happening. So just as an FYI, he may catch some of that. He'll be trading the S&P in gold. But he'll be doing a market breakdown and analysis, and so he'll probably catch that news actually when it's going down. So you can watch for that. But anyway, I'm basically looking for this here. There is one setup that I'm looking at, and I'll get into that here right now. I don't want to take a whole lot of time today. So I'll just throw this guy over here. Get him out of the way, and let's jump on the charts. So if you caught the recorded video, I mentioned U.S. dollar punched up, failed to take out this high here for the September contract, or August contract, or whatever the U.S. dollar is trading. You know what, I'll tell you right now exactly what it's trading. I don't want to give you any incorrect information, so let's just go ahead and look at that really quickly. The U.S. dollar is currently trading the front month of September contract. I think that's what I had said. You can see here, September contract, boom, which is actually trading higher than the December contract as well too. So with that being said, I'm expecting bullish activity on the U.S. dollar. Right, I mentioned that in the pre-recorded video. I think it's going to punch up, take these highs. I do, however, think it's going to roll over a little bit, and it's pretty much right in that zone right about now. I would even say maybe it might sneak down to this 94 big figure level here. But if it started to run higher, it would basically do it right in here. Basically right in here, right at current level, or right down to this 94 big figure level right in there. Somewhere in there, we could see the potential for a reversal and a run higher. So that's why I was saying it could happen here. London to New York today on Tuesday. And we could see that reversal run higher. So there's definitely a gap right here. I'll drop down to the lower time frame. Definitely a little gap in here on this feed, and I'll just confirm this. We always want to confirm our data feeds. I got it here as well too on another demo account. See, same gap. So I'd expect that to get filled, obviously. Now whether or not it wants to do something like this and then slam back down and fake everybody out and come into this zone here, maybe even the 94 level, and then run higher, that's going to remain to be seen. It could very well happen, but I definitely would anticipate some sort of level of support generated in one of these two areas right here. So I'm going to be watching for that. It so far has bounced off of this level, and that's just these old highs over here. I'm not 100% convinced, though, that it's done. I think we could see a little further to the downside, and only because of the time. It did this before London Open. London Open started here about an hour ago, and it kind of got in there a little soon. I would have expected if it was going to hit the low, it probably would have done it a little later on. That's my personal belief. I could be wrong on that. I think that's what they may want to do, but so I'm going to watch for that anyway. Again, no, I could be wrong. They could. So basically, if price bounces up here, let's say closes this gap in and starts to see some weakness, if price does not want to go any lower, basically then right in this area here, so the highs, the old highs of these candles in here, if price does not want to trade, so let's say it does trade higher and then it starts to trade softer, if price fails to get any lower than in here, basically right where price is currently at right now, basically, if it does not want to go any lower than that, we should see that act as support, and then we'll start to see a bounce higher if that is the case. So we'll watch for that as well too. So we got a couple of scenarios that we're going to be watching on London, but let's flip over to the euro. Draghi's speaking here in a few hours, so that's probably when we'll start to see the majority of the push happen. I think it's still going to keep running up. There's a couple of levels in here, so basically the exact same thing as the US dollar, but in reverse. I think price will come trade up. I'm thinking I'd like to see a 11700 level traded up too. I think that's a fairly significant level. And only because if you look back, look how many times that 1700 level was reacted at. All these wicks that went through it. And I'll bring this up here so you can see a little here. You know what? Actually, let's just do this. 117. Yeah, right about there. You can see just going back in time how price reacted at that level. It just failed to make it here, but basically acted as support. Came through, traded away, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20 times in the past, year it's been trading at that 1700 level. So fairly significant. Wouldn't be surprised if they traded up to it one more time, traded off. That was the only reason I was thinking of it going that deep. But I'll honestly take any failure to roll higher, basically from, pretty much from current levels. I'll be honest with you. Maybe a little higher. See these old lows back in here. That may even be a level, and that comes in at 1652 on this chart here. So 1650. That could certainly be a level. So basically anywhere between that level there and 1700 big figure, I think we could see some sort of a reversal happen. So gonna watch for that, and basically again it'll just be confirmed by this. If the US dollar starts to do this push up here, and I'll just roll this over here a little bit so you can see it a bit better. No, that's it there. So you can see price came down, slammed down, 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, pop back up, and so far it could be rolling over. If we start to run back down into these lows here and have a willingness to go lower, then we could see that continued push higher in the Euro USD. So that's sort of what I'll be waiting and watching for. And that news from Draghi coming out in a few hours, that could be the sort of linchpin that sets it off, runs it up quick, and then drops it. So we'll see. Pound dollar, a little bit sloppy. This is kind of what I was looking at on the pound dollar for price to run above these two equal highs in here. And ultimately, if we see a decent push, this level in here is definitely going to be offering some significant resistance. You can see how many times prices react off that level there. And that's that 133.20 to 133.25 level that I'm looking for. Could act as a real area of resistance. If price gets through there, I'd be looking for price to run up to this level here. I doubt it'll happen. They're probably not going to close in this area back in here until they actually make a price reversal. But I told you, 100 times over, price is going underneath these lows here. That's where I believe it's going, and that comes in at, I'll just drop it down here, 129.80. What's the level here? 120, 130. So under 130. Big figure, 1.300 big figure basically is what I'm anticipating price to come in at on this next push down. I hate it when it does that. Always does it without fail. You take your cursor off of it and click, and it always goes down 1 pip for some reason. That's where I'm ultimately looking for the pound to retreat down to. So I think the bears are still in control here for a little bit longer. Same news as the euro. I believe we'll see a shallow push back up. I'm looking for these equal highs to get taken out, and that's kind of why I'm thinking we could see a reversal somewhere in this area here. The news doesn't have anything on the pound until I believe it was Thursday. Yeah, there's a lot of MPC official bank rate, a lot of high impact news actually on the pound. They've got an official bank rate, monetary policy summary, official, et cetera, et cetera. So they could very well leave the pound dollar to consolidate until Thursday. So it could just sit here and do this and just sort of chop in this area right here, for the next couple of days until they're done. I think the euro they'll probably manipulate, and they'll just chop the pound sideways until at least Thursday. And then the pound will catch up to the euro, whichever way they decide to drive the euro. I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing. So, beware. Price really fell out of bed here. This is the Euro GBP on the daily. They were running this thing up, and then it failed and had a big bear candle down here last week. And so far, his price has traded right back up into a very significant level. And still doing that. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to zoom in one, pull a fib. If you look at that from the low to high, and potential areas for reversals are coming right into that logical level right there. 61.8, huge area for reversal. So we could see price. We may not see price run up into here. This is sort of what I was thinking, but we may see price just kind of run south from here. And who knows, we could be targeting these lows underneath here. Maybe a return back down to this area down here. Could be what's in the cards, and that would basically sweep these lows here, and just a return down to the small consolidation area could be what is in store. If that happens, again, the Euro USD should drop fairly nicely if that is the case. But it's all going to hinge off of the US dollar. If US dollar doesn't want to go up and we want to keep running down, then none of this is going to happen. So far the US dollar is making a nice little pivot up. I'm going to get rid of these lines here. This is driving me crazy. Can't see what I'm talking about. Clean this up a little bit. So that's sort of what I'm looking at to come into play here for London Open. And US CAD still running. I was hoping for a pullback on US CAD. As you can see, not getting it. Which is interesting because the US dollar had a retracement. 1, 2, 3, 4 days down. US CAD should be doing what the US dollar is doing. It's not. 3, 4 straight days up. And they smashed this high here. So, again, going forward, you know, we're starting to now get through this level in here that I had, this major area resistance right in here. Starting to get through there. So, we could start to see price run even higher on US CAD. So just keep that in mind. I've got this 133.50 level dog tagged up here. That's if we continue to push higher, I think that's where they're going to be running for. So just keep that one in mind. Keep it on your charts. And from there, who knows? They could, if the US dollar starts to fail, that could be, you know, they made the high. And then they come in, made a lower high, and then, you know, come in here and potentially, who knows, make another lower high here, and they're just swinging this thing down in that stair-step fashion. So that could be what they're doing. Don't know. We'll have to see. That's a very long way out, so I'm not going to get too far out in my analysis. But crude oil, all the eyes are on OPEC here coming up right now. Price just ran into a very logical level, obvious area of reversal, and I was kind of calling this in that video. Still not taking a trade on this, but they did. Look what they did on Monday. They smashed this down right to that 63.70 level that I had mentioned 100 times before. Been talking about that 63.70 level for a while. Great reaction off of it, though. Really acted a nice support. Ripped the price back up, but I think it's not done hitting the downside. I think we're going to roll over again. However, kind of interesting as well, too, in terms of commodities speaking. Just saw another video today on crude, and I didn't really look at it. I'll admit, I didn't really look at crude oil. And I haven't, because I've been waiting for about the past month. 3 weeks, I'd say, for these OPEC meetings. So once price started doing this, where is it here? After price was doing this here, I started to suspect this as a high, and I actually stopped trading this pretty much right after this touchdown here and this last little push. I stopped trading crude in this area right in here, and since then we've had a couple of giant drops. So basically, I didn't get into any of this in here, didn't touch crude. I was waiting for this week to happen for the OPEC meetings to come in. So admittedly, I wasn't really looking at crude commodities or doing any real analysis on it. I was just waiting for the OPEC meetings to start. But with that being said, there is... why can't I find it here? Here we go. there is some bullish sentiment on crude oil, which is, it's obvious, you know, we are still in a nice big bull market on crude oil. But currently, the front month of July, for the futures contracts, there does exist a little bit of a premium price right now, as opposed to August and September, which is going lower. So there we could have a little bit of pop in crude here, and I got a target on crude oil a little bit higher than where we're at right now, which they may want to push. But the thing is, I'm hearing a lot of bearish sentiment coming out of the early reports and early talks from OPEC, and I mean, anything's possible, but they're talking about pumping up the output. And if they pump up output, that means the storage capacity is going to rise, which means the price of oil is going to go lower, etc., etc., etc. We all know the song and dance. So if there is a bullish move on crude oil, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for them to run this high right away. There'd have to be a pretty strong bullish sentiment to do that. They may just decide, hey, let's just continue with these production cuts until the end of the year, or until the next OPEC meeting, which is great. We'll see price start to rip higher. I personally think we have one more leg down on this guy, and I think this level in here, and it's basically just a couple of symmetrical swings later. Symmetrical swing 1, symmetrical swing 2, right? And well, you could even take it from here. If you take it from this one here, right down to that level I'm talking about, but I'm looking for these lows under here to get run on crude oil. So we'll see what they want to do. Yeah, and that's kind of about it on crude. So still waiting in the shadows on this guy here. Hit a very, very significant level here. I mean, you could probably take a trade on crude right now if price breaks this level in here. Again, I'm not taking a trade. I'm not doing anything with crude oil until OPEC's done. But this 65.20 level, if this area in here gets broken and they close lower than that, then they're probably going to come down all the way down, back down to here. So just, you know, maybe a short-term kind of trade idea, you could look at that. Some kind of a target down in here. I'm not trading crude until after Thursday, so, and not at all this week, but probably next week I'll start getting back into crude. If we start seeing bullish activity, it'll give us a chance to get in. They'll surge price and then they'll come back down, and as soon as they come back down, you put all your buy levels in at those levels, and away you go. So let's just say, for instance, let's just say crude keeps dropping for the next couple of days, okay? And let's just say it takes out this low and maybe it even comes down to here. Well, if they all of a sudden come out with bullish news from these OPEC meetings, they'll surge price up, and then they'll come back down, and then it's that failure swing when they come back down that you're buying, and then we're targeting, you know, these highs up here. So that's what I'll be looking for. But lots of time on crude. I'm not going to rush anything. If you start rushing things, that's when you make mistakes, and that's when you start losing money. So always be patient, take your time, and do your due diligence on your trading. Australian dollar getting crushed. Very unfortunate. I was actually looking for higher highs on Australian dollar. It was showing a nice bullish run up here. In the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days has completely blown all of the bulls out of the water. And this thing is sinking faster than the Titanic. So just some obvious levels to watch for right off the bat. See these two these two railroad candles right down there? That would be one area, and we're fast approaching that here now. The second area is right underneath these lows in here. And there's a small area. See these highs back in here, the small consolidation level? I would suggest that if they want to convincingly come under here and not see any rejection under these two levels, that they could be running for these levels in here next. So we will watch for that to come out somewhere around 27.80-ish, or sorry, 72.80, somewhere in and around there. So we'll watch for that. But so far, Australian dollar is getting crushed, and no end in sight, especially if the US dollar keeps continuing to push higher. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to cover. I put out a trade signal for all of the members who are registered with F45 Trading for the, what was it for natural gas. Natural gas finally coming into a level that I'm looking at, that I've been looking at for a long time, and I think we're going to see some activity there. Now, I just want to go through copper right here. Copper is getting crushed right now. Like look at this, just falling out of bed here. I really was hoping to see some sort of a bounce in here. This is why you don't just go and blindly buy things. You got to see where they want to quit falling at, and you know, so far they are dropping this thing. And I believe copper, though, it's showing some bullish tendencies. This was a big bull push right here. I think, though, they left these two equal lows down here for a reason. And you see down here, there's two more equal lows right there. So I'm going to be watching these areas on copper. They could come down, and I've had this area on my chart for a while. Ever since they started consolidating in here, they didn't do a stop run, and they smashed it up here. They did not run these highs, so which means I believe they could be... I was looking for a bounce in here. Okay, we didn't get it. So the next level is down here. This is where I'll be looking to see if they have any willingness to reject and start running higher. I'm bullish on copper. You know, you can see what this thing has done in the past little while. It's been a nice bull market. I think we'll probably see that continue for a short term, so I'll be watching for this guy here. So that's a bit of a freebie for you. Not going to really talk about anything else. Coffee's coming down to some interesting levels here. I'm going to be watching this. This may not get a bounce on here, as I'm anticipating, and only because there was a small stop run right here, so they could be looking for lower prices. I'll go through that one later, but that's about it, guys. Bitcoin, they're slowly starting to trade off of this low rate here, but just, I mean, look at this. Like, you'd think, for instance here, they came down, rejected, big violent rejection, and they didn't stop once. They just rammed the price up higher. You know, 5,000 points or dollars. Same thing here. They came down once, twice, bam, smashed it up. Then they started to lethargically roll it over down here, and then they came down, took out the lows here, and now they're just really sitting here. Again, guys, I'm calling this thing lower still on all cryptos. I think they're still going to go lower. We may fill this gap in here first, but I believe it's just going to keep rolling lower. So I'm not looking at trading that until we've set some lows come in, but that's what I'm looking at there. So that's about it, guys. All I'm looking at is right now is this euro trade. I'm going to be watching the pound dollar. I think, however, the pound will consolidate though until that Thursday news. They probably won't do a whole lot with it. It might make, I mean, it's in a pretty good range. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is a, you know, 70 pip range, so I'd be selling the highs up here and potentially buying the lows if it has a failure down here. I wouldn't actually advise buying the lows. I would advise, if price comes up here, you just start selling into it, because I think they're going to take it lower. And I showed you where I think it's going to go lower. So, that's about it, guys. I don't really have anything else to say. If you have any questions, now's your chance. Fire them at me. I got a couple more drinks in my tea here, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Because there's not a whole else lot that I want to discuss. Yeah, other than that news, like I say, a lot of action happening on Wednesday. I'm going to, depending on what price is going to do, I'd probably elect to just hold off on trading on Wednesday. Fed Chair Powell speaking, Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speaking, the European Central Banking President Draghi is speaking, and the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Lowe is speaking. So lots of central bank speeches, so that typically means they could be pushing price around. And it's a little bit later in the day as well, too, so, you know. And plus we had all those G7 meetings as well, too, last week. And that's all the G7 members right there. I mean, that's four of the G7 members. U.S., Japan, European nation, etc., etc., etc. They're all in there, so we could see some action happening Wednesday. but we'll have to see what price is going to do prior to that. So, and then like I say, all that stuff is coming in on the pound dollar late on the pound dollar. So just keep in mind, I won't be trading the pound on Thursday, but I could trade up to it just depending on what it's going to do. If it does give us a high in here, I might sell into that. But so far, it's not really doing a whole bunch. Same with the euro, not really doing a whole bunch. They're just kind of, they're sitting on it right now. They're slowly just kind of moving price. So that's why I'm going to wrap up this trading session, because there's not a ton in relation to what's happening here. They had a nice bounce here on the dollar, but and they may just, like I say, just want to come up, close this gap in here, and then continue to roll over. And they may want to push one leg lower, and that's kind of what I've got marked out on the chart there, and that's that even 94 level. So we'll see. But if they start pushing higher than that gap and getting up into here, then they're going to be going higher with it. And so then they would have made the low pre-London Open on Tuesday. So we'll see. We will see. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't see any questions coming up, and I don't see a whole lot of movement on the charts. So, with that, guys, I am going to call it a day. Bid you adieu. Thank you very much for joining. They could be running this thing down. Look for this area right in here. Yeah, you know, they've traded very, very nicely in through here. There's some equal lows under here. Around the stops down here. This kind of looks like a suspect high to me. But they came back up and traded into it right here, so they could want to roll it over. If they fail to get any lower than this guy here, get rid of this line there. You see how they come down once here, twice, 3 times here. If they kind of leave this area as a potential area of support, and they don't come and run this, then they could do one leg higher. But if they start running through this level here, then I would expect that they'll sweep here, and then they'll just start coming down and tagging off all the levels on their way back down. Leveled in here. All right, you kind of get the picture. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. Yeah, maybe that could have been the high there. How many pips did they take that high out by? 3 pips, 4 pips. Seems kind of suspect to me. I think there's some more area above that they could run it. Like they ran through here quite convincingly. I don't know why they just arbitrarily pick 116.43 to reverse it at. That's really not any significance. And we're on a 4-hour. Yeah, like I would have at least liked to see them come up to the 116.50 level, right? But they just kind of, I don't know. Interesting. Interesting. We'll wait and see. If they do want to run this thing down and get lower in here, and they do come back and do a retest, I'll be looking for a retest back up into this area in here. So there's definitely time to do it. Draghi's going to be speaking. I don't really want to take a trade pre-Draghi. I'd like to see if they want to reverse the market during... I'm expecting lower prices. And if Draghi decides to, or pre-Draghi, they come up and start to run it higher, then I'll probably end up selling into that. But we'll watch for that one. So just be careful in the markets this week, guys. It's not like there's a high probability setups anywhere, to be honest with you. I identified a couple commodities that I think could come to fruition here. But apart from that, like I say, I'm staying sideways on crude oil. I'm not touching yen. US CAD screaming up. Didn't get any retracement really on US CAD to speak of. A little bit of one in here. Price traded down to that nicely. But that's about it. That was a nice bounce there. Could have got in on that one. Nice little 60 pip run. So we'll see how that wants to play out. And again here, and if we do see this reject all the way back down here, then we should see the euro run lower. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, thanks again, guys. Appreciate that. Dave will be back on Wednesday to trade S&P Gold and do a quick market overview. There's be some big news when he's trading as well too, so he'll probably run through that, and we'll take it from there. So careful trading this week. We'll see you on Wednesday, and then I'll be back again on Thursday. Thanks, guys. Talk to you then.